Hi, everybody. Anxiety disorders, mental mood swings, even bipolar stuff. How about sleep problems? The medications for these things are horrifying when it comes to their side effects, and you can do something about this naturally. My name is Dr. Brian Hooten, founder of the Hooten Family Healing Center in Dallas, Texas. If you haven't heard about us, we recently won Best New Podcast on the healthcare airwaves of all time. And we have a lot of fun here, but I want to be real clear. When you come in to see us, the environment is fun because people are healing all over the place. It is so great to watch people take control of their health, tell their doctors to stick it, to leave the system, to get out of the rat race, if you will. Remember, drugs are bad. That was Nancy Reagan's slogan back in the 80s. God did not make you to have to take medication for mood swings, sleep, or mental disorders. Am I a medical doctor? Absolutely not. I hate that system that these doctors are stuck in because it is run and regulated by the drug companies. They all want to make money. There is no solution. They tell you, the doctors will tell you that people like me are crazy when people come in and they heal all the time. If you want to get well from mood issues, it's what do they call it, mental disorders, things like anxiety, big mood swings, depression, all these things that have been around. You hear so much about it. There is a path you can start to take to get your body working better. I've seen it thousands of times over the 24 years of my career. I've been through a depression. I mean, if you're sitting there watching and you're thinking, well, how do you know, Dr. Hooten? What do you know about depression? Look, I found myself, we had a horrible accident back in 2003. A buddy of mine was killed, the boat I was driving. It's just a horrifying situation, circumstances. He fell off the front of the boat and nobody even saw it happen, and the engine clipped him and he died. Just a terrifying scene, if you can imagine that. And I had never experienced like what people talk about, a big depression or mood disorders or anxiety until that moment. And I can tell you, for the next 30 to 45 days, I knew depression. I climbed into the wrong set of habits. I was drinking my way as much as I could, trying to forget this. I wanted to forget this thing. So I never took a mental prescription drug. I went to the one that was easily available, which was alcohol, and that did not solve a thing. All drugs aren't going to solve anything. There is no solution when it comes to medication. If you've taken these things, maybe you felt better, right? So the perception is you are getting better. The reality is all it's doing is covering things up by disrupting the way that these chemicals flow in your brain. If you know anything about the serotonin reuptake system or dopamine, all these things, the drugs are working to cover up or kill part of your brain that you're using to balance this out. So had I started taking a prescription drug, it's very easy to see how I'd get hooked on those things for the rest of my life. Thankfully, I knew then what I know now, and I started behaving appropriately. Went to my chiropractor a lot, and I got adjusted. We're going to talk about that. And then from there, I started eating, started exercising, which you've heard that. Exercise is a great drug to fight depression. But the most important thing was the adjustments I was getting from my chiropractors. Now, I want to do a real good job of showing you how that works. This is not some weird belief system. If you're saying, oh, how can a chiropractor help me with these mental... Look, I promise you, if you just hear me out, this will make sense. So we had a recent testimony with this, a guy named Felix. There he is. You'll see him on this podcast. We'll put a picture up there. And Felix came to see us because of anxiety. That is what is on his paperwork. And he didn't want to reach for medication. He didn't want to go down that road. He wanted to feel better without these horrifying medications. So how did it work? So he's all better. He started sleeping great after his first couple of adjustments. Just said his mood is stabilized. He doesn't feel anxious at all. How does that work? Well, think of it this way, and I'll just use my own body as an example. When I went through that trauma and I found myself in that depression, my body and my brain and my soul, right? Your body and your brain and your soul, you don't necessarily want to be in that situation. You don't want to feel terrible, right? But on a subconscious level, your body's fighting that. It wants to be right. So all these chemicals are being produced. You got everything from adrenaline to cortisol, ghrelin, leptin, all these different hormones. There's 84 of them. And your body's trying to navigate this so you don't feel bad. So it just naturally wants to feel better. Obviously, you want to consciously, you want to forget this whole thing, which is why I started drinking all that much. But your body wants to heal also. Very similar, just a little different pathway, but similar to when, like if you cut your arm with a piece of paper, if you like a paper cut, well, your body goes to heal that. Your body wants to heal from whatever damaged you. So whatever puts you in this anxiety or depression or sleep problems, whatever put you there, your body wants to balance that out. It wants to naturally go and get you well. If you don't believe that, then I can't help you. If you want to be well, so he came in wanting to be well. Now, I wish everybody did. I had somebody start care a little bit more than a month ago, and she was only here because her husband brought her. She did not want to get well, and she was very skeptical. So, of course, she didn't get anywhere. If you want to be well, if you want to get control of your life where you don't have to take the medications, then it starts with the health of your spine, and that's what I told Felix, and he's all better. Your brain and all these chemicals flow up and down your spinal column. Okay, serotonin is in there, dopamine. There's like 30 that go in directly into your spinal column in your brain, and that whole system should be flowing. Now, out here in your body, you may have heard that some of these things are manufactured in your gut. Like you make serotonin and a lot of things that balance out your mood and sleep. You make a lot of that down in your gut, like in your small intestines. Well, that has to go back into your spine and up to your brain to actually help you balance it out. So it's this constant flow, right? Well, let's take an extreme example. Let's say, what if you took your brain out of your body? What would happen to your mood? What would happen to your stress levels? It would all be done because you're dead, right? So your brain is navigating this whole thing through your spinal cord. It should always be flowing. So if you cut part of it off or you take part of it out, your whole body stops. What happens if you kink the hose, so to speak? So now those chemicals in your spinal cord itself, instead of flowing at 100%, it's flowing at like 80%. And you probably won't even feel that. But if that's happening and your spinal cord and all those chemicals and your nerves aren't flowing at 100%, is your body going to behave at 100%? Is it going to be 100% strong? The answer is no. If you're kinked, if you will, if your body can't get through all this, then you're going to be weak. And the analogy I like to use is a garden. So all those different plants, let's just take like an orange tree or rose bushes, all those different parts of your garden, if they're not getting all this flow, then they're not going to be super healthy, are they? They're going to be withering away. If that's happening and it's affecting that part of your garden or those organs that are involved in helping you make serotonin and dopamine and all those things, then you're not going to be 100%. It's impossible. That is not a belief system either. This is basic neurology. If somebody cuts through part of their spinal cord, some part of their body dies. Well, if your bones of your spine, if they're in there squishing your spine even a little bit, then your brain and your spinal cord can't flow through there. Your body is going to be weaker that way. And that's what I told Felix. And of course, we took his x-rays, and we'll do that for you too. X-rays will tell you a whole lot about what you need to be doing. Like if your spine is in really bad shape, you need a lot of work. If your spine is in just a not so bad a shape, like if it's a 1 on a 0 to 10 scale, then you don't need as much. He happened to have a few kinks in his spine, what we call subluxation, and that was quite literally killing his garden. We started working on those to relieve that pressure and showed him how to self-treat his spine at home with some specific exercises, and then his body started flowing. And he started to feel better himself. I'll be real clear on this. I am not fixing anxiety. I'm getting people where they can help themselves, where they heal themselves. We're talking about real healing, real cures that are already inside of them. I'm not curing anything. They are. All I'm doing is removing this interference or removing some of the damming or the blocking of his own potential. See, his body already wanted to be good, All we have to do is get out of the way. Is it going to have to keep getting adjusted forever? Yes. Unless your spine is perfect, unless you have somehow not had any damage in there, you're going to need to be taking care of it. But in 24 years, I've only seen 2 or 3 with no damage. One happened to be an 80-year-old, no drugs for anything, never got sick. Her daughter was real sick, and she brought her mom in to get her checked out. And she goes, man, Mom, this explains why you never get sick. And that lady, quite frankly, didn't even take care of herself. She didn't eat clean or anything like that, but there was no arthritis in her spine. Those curves that were supposed to be in her spine were there. No scoliosis of any kind. So that does happen. That's very rare. But the only way you would know that is to actually come in and get your spine x-rayed. Now, if there is any kink in there, we'll show you what to do about it. We'll put a plan together so you can be well. Remember, drugs are bad. God is great, and so are you. You have to get in order. Get your brain and spine flowing. Food and all that is important. We'll show you how to do that. But if your brain and spine aren't flowing, none of that other stuff is going to matter. So get in here. We'll walk you through it. You can find us anywhere on social media, drhooten.com, and we'll talk to you next time.